Cabin pressure in this airplane is less than 70 kilopascals. Passengers can suffer from altitude sickness. Now, if you were given this question, you would be given this formula. 101.3, 0.88 to the K, where P is pressure and K is the number of kilometers, or the above sea level, the altitude in kilometers. So if you're at a certain height, you can get altitude sickness. That's why the pressure in an airplane is pressurized, so you don't fly up in the air and get sick because there's not enough oxygen. I've suffered from altitude sickness a couple of times. When I lived in South America, for one, the capital city of La Paz has the highest airport in the world. The altitude of the airport where you land is about 4,000 meters, 4 kilometers above sea level. That's where the airport is located. To put that into perspective, I think there's only 1 or 2 mountain peaks in all of North America that are higher than that. Now, it's not like you're just like they decided to put right on the tip point a little landing strip. No. The Andes Mountains are very high, and at the very top, they are flat. So it's not like you're landing on a mountain peak. But it was a little bit, when I flew in, it was a little bit scary, because you're like landing, and there's mountains right beside you, and then you're like, because you're flying at cruising altitude, but there's still mountains beside you that are higher. Usually you think you should be flying much higher than that. Anyways, the pressure change is crazy. So I was flying from one city called Santa Cruz, which is about 250 meters above sea level, to La Paz, 4,000 meters above sea level. And the pressure difference is crazy. So for example, I wear contacts. I have a contact lens bottle. When I took it out of my bag, it was like so expanded inside. You open it up, toothpaste. You just open up your toothpaste, it squirts out automatically. Even some pens, the ink was just running out because the pressure inside was regular pressure, but when we got up to La Paz, the pressure was different. They have an altitude sickness bay in the airport because a lot of people get off the plane, take a deep breath, and then start to panic because they're like, I didn't get any oxygen. I feel like so then you start to sweat, you start to get lightheaded and headaches. Now, when I flew, I didn't get altitude sickness. I guess I was lucky. It doesn't affect everybody. I got off the plane and I was fine. But another time that I traveled there, I traveled by bus. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, I woke up, I was all sweaty, I was like trying to breathe but feeling like I didn't, and then you start to panic, and then that's sort of some signs of altitude sickness. Now the same thing happened when we landed the other way. My toothpaste and my contacts bottle was like squished in, as like someone had squeezed out the air perfectly as much as they could, and you open your leg, it sucked all the air back in. Pens didn't work for a week because the ink didn't want to come out, and all things like that. So it's very, very interesting. Okay. So cabin pressure in an airplane is less than 70 kilopascals. Passengers can suffer altitude sickness to the nearest kilometer. So in this question, we know the pressure is 70, 101.3, 0.88 to the K, and again, we are going to, since obviously these are not on your powers chart, at this point, we have to use Desmos or a graphing calculator. Plug them both in, see where they intersect. And you should get 3 kilometers, which again, if you can suffer altitude sickness at 3 kilometers, and the airport in La Paz is at 4 kilometers, That's crazy. No wonder you have altitude sickness when you get out of the plane. Now, as far as soccer goes, sometimes Bolivia would strategize. And if they had to play Brazil, they said, okay, but we're going to play in La Paz. So when you arrive, you're going to get sick, and maybe Bolivia can beat Brazil.
It is really hard to run.
Because it's very hard to run because you're not getting the oxygen, right? You may have heard that some athletes actually train at high altitudes so that when they get to the Olympics, they have a bigger lung capacity that they can run for longer or do things for longer because their training has happened at high altitudes. Probably jump higher for basketball to raise the nets to 11 feet or 12. You'd be like, no problem. All right. So, again, these questions right now, because we're using technology, are really easy to solve. But we are going to figure out an algebraic way to solve them.